Hello everybody, my name is Levi, and this is an update video. So a lot has happened in the past few months, and a lot, possibly even more, will happen in the next few months. So today I'm going to detail what exactly the plans are, and how that may affect the YouTube and Twitch channel. So there's a few games that are still a work in progress. I'm just not entirely sure when exactly we're getting around to them, but they're all still games that I don't consider to be canceled. They're just games that are yet to be finished. So the first of those is Metroid 2033. I started streaming this a little bit last summer, and I just got caught up in other things and never got around to finishing it. I'd still like to get through the last third of the game or so whenever I have the time to, but I'm unsure when I'm getting around to that. I'm just very interested in finishing it at some point, though. There's also No More Heroes 2. We're definitely excited to finish it, and it's a ton of fun so far. So another game that we're probably actually going to be finishing the day that I'm recording this is Asura's Wrath. So this is one that me, Pang, and Chris recorded maybe spring last year, and we just kind of got through half of it, and it just became really hard to find time for all three of us to be available, and we're finally trying to finish it now. So we're excited to see how that goes. It's just a game with... It's just, how much action can we fit into a game? That's the game, pretty much, and we're really excited to see how that turns out. There's also The Legend of Dragoon, which was my huge project of 2018, and then in July, my PC broke down, and my PS1 broke down, and the disc that I was on in the game was too scratched to read properly. So there's a whole series of things that put the series on hold for about 2 months, whether I like it or not, and I gradually managed to sort out all three of those things, but I never made it back to my playthrough of The Legend of Dragoon. So I think we started and finished all of Tales of Symphonia, which was like a 75-hour game for us since last playing this, which I was already on the 3rd out of 4 discs with this, so I really need to finish it at some point. I don't know if I'm going to stream it, but I'm probably going to try to finish that sometime in the next month or two. Another work in progress is Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2. Okay, yeah, I did get the name right. And so this is one that me, Connor, and Chris started just before the end of summer break last summer. So they aren't as interested in it as I am, but I still really want to see it through to the end, because I had a lot of fun playing this, and I'm super interested in seeing what else it has to offer. We're maybe halfway through it, or something like that. But it's just a really fun game to play. I really enjoy these kind of games. And then lastly, the game that I've been mostly working on this past few months is Kingdom Hearts 1, which I've been playing the PS4 re-release of it. And I started it with Ezra back in like October, got maybe halfway, and everything just felt so slow in it. I didn't like the combat. I didn't like how much of a maze every level was. And it just felt like a lot of just dumb things that you couldn't prevent happened in the game. So I wasn't exactly sure if I was going to finish it, or maybe just like look up the ending for Kingdom Hearts 1, just so that I could get onto Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep, which both excited me significantly more. But I've been gradually getting through the end of it, and I'm probably going to be finishing Kingdom Hearts 1 sometime this week. But that's a game I've been playing offline, and I'm super excited to get to the end of it, and I'm even more excited to see what the next games in the series have to offer. And so now we're on to the new stuff. These are projects that have yet to be started and might not have even been mentioned all that much before. But unlike previous update videos where I've tried to have some sort of time estimate, like, oh, we're starting this next week, we're starting this in a month, we want to have this done within 2 months, I've just kind of categorized them by my current interest in playing them, so take that for what you will. I don't really know when or if we're getting to all of these anytime soon, but they are the top priority games for the channel at the moment. So there's 2 games that, above all, I want to get to the most out of the entire collection. These are the 2 that I really want to get to as soon as possible. So the first of those is Medieval, which I've been looking everywhere for this game for a very long time, but I finally managed to find a copy, and it's been sitting on my shelf for the last, like, 5 or 6 months, but literally just a month or 2 after I finally got it, they announced that it's coming out on PS4, but I still really want to try the PS1 version, so my goal is to actually get through the PS1 version, sort of like what I did with Shadow of the Colossus. I want to play the original version, and then when the remake comes out, I really want to get into that one, so I'm very excited to play through Medieval on the PS1 and then Medieval on the PS4. I also have Medieval 2, which that was even worse trying to find that. It's such a hard game to come across. But I don't really know how that's all fitting in there. I'm not going to bother with the PSP remake of the game, which I've heard people don't even like that much anyway. So definitely excited to get into that. The other top priority game is something that I've been teasing on the channel for a really long time. I don't even know how long ago it was, but there was a time where before I even had started doing any pickup videos, I just posted like a huge list of like 60 or 70 games that I was really interested in playing, and I had the entire fan base go through them, and we got like 60 people to vote on it, and it was crazy. Everyone was choosing like every game that interested them, and the overall winner of that list was Metal Gear Solid 1, which I played Metal Gear Solid 3 on the 3DS, and I've now obtained the entire franchise, but I've yet to actually play anything other than 3, and so I'm really interested in getting through 1, 2, probably replaying 3, 4, 5, Peace Walker, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, all the games. There's even more that I have. I forget what they're called, though. And that'll have to start with Metal Gear Solid 1, which I've been promising this game so long that it was a top contender with The Legend of Dragoon when I started that, and ever since then I've been saying, as soon as I beat The Legend of Dragoon, I'm starting Metal Gear Solid 1, and I'm still going to try to stand by that, even if I'm unsure if I'll be streaming The Legend of Dragoon's completion. But I definitely want to get into Metal Gear Solid 1 as soon as possible. Then there's a few games that aren't exactly like the overall top priority, but they're still games that I really want to try my best to get them started as soon as possible, because I'm really excited about getting into these, just not quite as excited as Medieval and Metal Gear Solid. So the first of those is Devil May Cry 1, which me and Chris have been talking about going through the series for a long time. I've never really known how interested I am in it, but he's really interested in it, and so we're considering trying to go through the entire series. We don't really know how we're going to go about that, if we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right in order, and maybe 5 will be out by then. We're probably going to ignore the reboot. But yeah, we're just interested in getting through the series at some point, so that's one of the ones that we're highly considering. Another game, which is one that I promised in the last update video, was Bionicle on the GameCube, which one of my earliest gaming memories was watching one of my neighbors play this, and I was interested in getting back into it to see what it had to offer, and a lot of people in the community really wanted to see what the game was too, so I said I'd try to do it over winter break. It never ended up happening, but that doesn't mean that I'm bailing on the game entirely, so I definitely want to try to get to that as soon as I can. Another game I really want to get into is Diddy Kong Racing, which this is a game that I borrowed off Conker last summer, and I just decided I didn't want to borrow it. I wanted to own it because it's just a super fun game, and I really enjoyed it. And now I have a project that I need to record some footage for somebody from one of the later stages in the game, so I figured why not just stream as much of the game as I can in that time. So I'm definitely going to try to get into Diddy Kong Racing as soon as I can. Although I've heard that WizPig is going to be very problematic unless I use like speedrunner boosting acceleration trick strategy things. So I have no idea how that's going to go. And the last game that is in high interest is Psychonauts. So this is one that I'd heard about for the longest time, and I eventually got on Steam however long ago, but I never really got around to it. I don't know a whole lot about what to expect with that, but Josh and Chris are both interested in joining for that, so we're looking into it. And then lastly, for streams and stuff, there's the projects that we're looking into, but we don't really know for sure if they're happening. They're just things that are being considered more so than just the hundreds of games over here, but they're not exactly going to be a top priority in the coming months. But they could happen at any time, we just don't know yet. So one of those is Twitch Highlights 2, which I did Twitch Highlights 1 a long time ago. That turned out to be a huge editing process. Not because there was tons of editing, but because I literally had to scroll through like dozens of hours of footage, and I don't know, that I was already there for the footage, so I never really get that excited about rewatching everything. So that's why I'm always unsure about these Twitch highlight videos. They're definitely something that people like, and it's something that's not that hard to make. it just takes up a lot of time that I'd rather play video games during. So, or I'm not exactly sure when or if there is going to be Twitch highlights too, but it's something that's being considered at the very least. So last summer, me, Connor, and Ryan did a few YouTube series that we recorded, and we were hoping to have them, and I was hoping to have them edited into a few, like, 3 to 5 10-minute episodes. And so we did Panoptic, which that came out in September, and then we also did Echo the Dolphin and Crazy Taxi, which have yet to come out. Oh, Crazy Taxi. Was that backwards? So those both were really fun games, and we enjoyed these possibly even more than Panoptic. And I'm super excited to try to get those series out there at some point. I actually have a friend who is interested in doing some video editing on the channel, and he's got the footage to Echo, and we're going to see what exactly comes of it. So, not sure when you'll get those, but you may get a few short YouTube series of Echo the Dolphin and Crazy Taxi. Some other games that I've wanted to do on the channel, almost more fan service than me wanting to do them, but they're just really fun games. I don't exactly know what my plan for them is, but that's Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine. So, Super Mario 64, I've 100%ed this like 4 or 5 times. I've probably done the same on the DS version like 2 or 3 times, and it's definitely a game that I've already seen plenty of, and I don't have too much interest in speedrunning it or anything, but that doesn't seem to stop people in the community from really wanting it, and, I mean, it's a fun game to play, so who knows? Super Mario 64 may come up in the future. And then for Super Mario Sunshine, it's a game that I borrowed off Connor a really long time ago, and only like this last year managed to get my own copy, and I never actually beat it. I got enough shines to get to Corona Mountain, and then I couldn't beat the Corona Mountain level. And then Connor wanted to try beating it again, because I don't think he ever beat the game either. He got stuck at Corona Mountain, but I'm interested in trying to 100% this, which I don't know how easy that's going to be, because things like blue coins seem really annoying in the game, but I'm interested in trying to 100% it at some point. I just don't know when yet. Another one similar to Medieval and Shadow of the Colossus is Crash Team Racing. I also picked this up somewhat recently, but before the remake was announced, and I'm really interested in trying to do this before the remake. I don't really know when Medieval's remake is coming out, but Crash Team Racing's remake is coming out like in the summer, so I definitely want to try to get to this sometime soon, because I'd really like to see like what all the hype is behind this original game, and then try out the remake. Another game that me and Ezra have been talking about for a while now is Resident Evil 4, because me and Ezra were both interested in doing a horror game at some point, and we narrowed that down to Silent Hill 2, which had previously been attempted on the channel, but we'd like to go back and try to revisit it from the start. And Resident Evil 4, which we both have some history with the Resident Evil franchise, but neither of us with 4, so we've been interested in trying to get into that, and the Wii version is the one that stood out to us the most as probably being the most fluent, or at least the version that we were both the most interested in playing. There's also an interest in doing more D&D. We may start phasing into doing more offline stuff with that, but also this new camera that I have is really going to help if we do anything in the room, because it has like double the field of view and like quadruple the resolution of the last one. So it's definitely a huge benefit if we decide to do any more streams of it in person. Another game that's been kind of in the backlog for the longest time now is Half-Life 1. So I originally tried getting into the Half-Life series a really long time ago by getting Half-Life 2 on the original Xbox, which I never actually managed to start, and then by the time I got a PC in like 2015, I just ended up getting the first game and second game and all the add-ons for those pretty soon after for like $1 or $2 each. So I'm definitely interested in getting into that at some point, because that's a series that people just really like. It's a very popular franchise, and I'm interested in seeing why. So who knows? Half-Life 1 could come at some point this summer, or this spring or summer. Another one that I'd like to get into that we did technically finish, but I still want to do more with, and that's F-Zero GX. It's just an incredibly fun game to play, and I want more of it just for that alone. But there's also 2 Grand Prix that we never unlocked, and there's some harder difficulty modes for a lot of the story mode. So I'm interested in seeing what chance we have of getting through that, and more so than anything else, I just really like playing the game. So I really want to do more F-Zero GX at some point. And lastly, for things that are likely to be streamed or put on YouTube is just VR stuff. Back when I first got VR, I just kind of went through Steam and the Oculus Store and just got tons of free VR games, because a lot of people make a lot of proof of concepts and demos for VR, and they've just kind of been sitting there occupying a huge majority of my Steam library and Oculus library, but I've never really gotten into a lot of them, so I'd like to try out a lot of the just VR games that I downloaded a year or two ago and have no idea what they are, so I'd like to see what some of those are. Maybe do a stream where I just go through 10 of them, who knows. And last but not least is the games that I'm most likely playing offline. For the most part, these probably won't matter to the community too much, since I'm most likely to play these games offline. Not because I don't want to share my experience of the game with people, it's just that I'd rather have some games where I can just turn on the console and then start playing the game with 100% of my attention. I don't need to worry about setting up camera, mics, lights, the PC and capture software, streaming, keeping up with chat, and talking with people. Whenever I do that, it's definitely fun, and it works better with more people in the room, because then multiple people can interact with chat while someone focuses on the game. But I'd really like to have a few games that I can just dedicate 100% of my attention to. So these are a few of the ones that I think I'm going to try to do in the next few months. So one of those is Metroid Prime, which is my favorite game of all time, possibly second favorite to its sequel, not entirely sure yet, but I'd really like to replay this at some point, and it's been a really long time, so I've forgotten a lot of the more moment-to-moment puzzles and solutions, which was kind of my goal in waiting so long to replay it, because I want it to be as fresh of an experience as it can be. I don't know if I'm going to play this or the trilogy version just yet, because a friend is borrowing the trilogy version, but I'd really like to get to that sometime soon. And then there's also God of War 2018, which I don't own the game, but I have a few places I could probably borrow it from, and I've been interested in this pretty much since it came out. I just wasn't sure if I should try to get through the original franchise first, which I have that and I've been trying to get through it, but I haven't found the time to start it just yet. But I did get through the 2 PSP games, which those are really fun. And the 2018 game just looks super fun, but it looks like something where it's just very much being involved in every moment of it, and taking in the story and the scenery and everything, and focusing on chat during that. I'm not entirely sure if it's the best idea for the best way to play it, so I'm probably going to be playing that one offline whenever I get to it. And then, as stated earlier, I'm just about done with Kingdom Hearts 1, and so I'll be playing Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't know when exactly I'm starting that, but I'm hopefully going to do that on one of the harder difficulties, and I'd like to play that offline because it's just something that I'm not going to be able to keep up with chat during something like that, so I'm probably going to stream it or be playing Kingdom Hearts 2 offline, and I'm excited to get into that whenever I get to it. And the second to last is World of Light, which I got Smash Ultimate a week after it came out, and I've still only put 5 or 6 hours into it, maybe, mostly through classic mode, so I definitely just haven't found the time to get around to it, and I'd really like to get through World of Light at some point. I was considering streaming it for a time, except everyone was just kind of saying, oh, it's a game that you play for an hour burst or something, and then you get mad at it and don't come back to it for a day or who knows what, but it just didn't seem like the thing that would be the most optimized for streaming. Maybe I'll consider doing some recordings of it, but for the most part, I'll probably just be playing it on my own. So, World of Light. Hopefully I'll get to it soon. And last but not least is Pokken Tournament DX, which this is still one of my favorite fighting games ever. I just find the combat really satisfying, and I really like playing it. And it's also not super complex like Street Fighter or Tekken or Dragon Ball Fighter or whatever. It's just one that I managed to figure out, I guess you could say. And a long time ago, I got to some of the later single-player content. I've beaten the game, but there's a lot of challenge modes after beating the game, and I still really want to try to get to the very end of all those challenge modes, so I'll probably be trying to do that. And so, for the most part, that's what I'm planning on trying to get to hopefully by summer break, or maybe by the end of summer break. I don't really know quite how I'm going through everything at this time, but I'm definitely interested in getting into a lot of these games sometime soon. So this has been the update for February 2019. I'll see you next time. Later.